Good evening. Welcome to Coolnomics Live. Let's acknowledge the land upon which we gather and share our ideas tonight. We are in regional New South Wales in the beautiful country of Australia. We are acknowledging the local Indigenous custodians of the land, air and waterways. This is very sacred earth that we gather on this evening, and I want to pay our respects to the traditional custodians, always was, always will be, Aboriginal land. Let's get into our program this evening. As I mentioned, I'm Robyn Wilson, the founder of Coolnomics. We are exploring the topic of Coolnomics tonight, and we have our lecture on commercial viability. Now, I'm sorry if the blurring is occurring. I don't know how to fix it, so hopefully the content will be rich enough that we won't even notice the blurring of the camera. We're going to move through our usual zeitgeist report. I've got three examples of cultural pulses, interesting things that I think that are happening with the zeitgeist this week, from AI to music to party girls becoming CEOs to Polymarket. We're going to talk about that. And then we'll move into the commercial viability lecture with some case study examples. Mr. Beast came up. We're going to talk about how to slice and dice a profit. We're going to talk about product suites. We're going to talk about strategic pricing. We're going to talk about resonance. And we're going to talk about running a lean profit and loss to have a profitable business. Okay, let's get into it. All right, tonight's Zeitgeist Report, where we gather together some of our observations of Coolnomics happening in real time in the market. Okay, now this example. So I realize that with some of my examples being chronically online, being part of my job, I know what these examples are in depth, but I'm realizing that I probably need to introduce them a little bit more. So these are two girls. It's a fashion brand called Jagger & Stone. It's Nikki Westcott and Lucy Jackson. These girls are party girls. I've followed their story of building this brand from scratch. They've leveraged their story. They've run a weekly podcast. They do really edgy, interesting content to promote their fashion. The product is fashion. I'm so sorry about the blurring. The product is fashion. This is a beautiful example of recognizing that the young girls who are interested in Jagger & Stone fashion are also interested in the story and the lifestyle and the energy. No, it's not about focus. Thanks, Monica. I don't know how to fix that though in real time, but I really appreciate you, team, trying to fix it. I haven't changed any of my settings from last week from the camera. This feels like it's a glitch. I feel like I would need to restart my system, and I don't think I can do that right now. I think I just need to plow ahead. Okay. Jagger & Stone, when we sell a product to a person, that person has a whole lifestyle around them, a whole set of values, a whole legacy, history, desires, future, interests, passions, resonance. Jagger & Stone represent the party girl, the edgy girl, and that's what they've represented for the last number of years, and now what they represent is catching up to the zeitgeist. They have gone from being a fashion brand to also having a national podcast, and now they're in the middle of a live show tour around Australia. Live shows, girls screaming, going wild, Lucy turning up on the stage on a motorbike with knives in her hands like Britney Spears, dancing in formation because she used to be a cheerleader for a football team. This is part of her legacy. This is what's authentic and credible to her. Her comrade, Nikki Westcott, is pregnant. We've got these edgy girls, one of them being pregnant, running a live show with a bunch of screaming girls for girls. This is the bad girl coming into the zeitgeist. The feminine zeitgeist has shifted, and girls are sick of being told to be good and neat and pretty and perfect. The ultimate sign of freedom, of busting through from oppression, of being told what we're allowed to be and not be, is to be wild and free. I'm not saying you need to be a party girl, but what I'm saying is an example of girls being both. These girls run a multi-million-dollar fashion brand, and they're on stage dancing, and they're pregnant, and they're hosting a big wild after party with the founder dancing on a speaker. It reminds me of my early 20s of going to really banging parties. And they're being both wholesome and edgy, multi-million-dollar businesses, whilst also being free and sexy, hot, physical. These girls are dressing for the feminine gaze, for their own gaze, not for the masculine gaze. It's okay the masculine can be a part of that gaze, but primarily girls are now doing it for themselves, doing it for each other. The feminine is uprising, and I think Jagger & Stone is a fascinating example. And the vibe in those rooms cannot be denied. These are wild, banging, fantastic parties that the girls are loving to do together. Okay, I think that's part of our zeitgeist. You know, we can see how this easily connects to, I've used the title here, 365 Party Girl CEOs. It connects into the Charlie XCX brat era. This is the zeitgeist. We see cultural threads that connect in together and then things change. Okay, let me play this for you. Who recognizes this song? Sit back, relax, listen. You recognize it all.
That girl so scandalous, and you know another nigga couldn't handle it. So you're shaking that thing like who's the itch? With the look in your eyes so devilish. You like to dance all the hip hop spots, and you cruise to the grooves like an acrobat. Not just her bench, she liked to pop because she was living like a yellow pop. She had.
Okay, who recognizes that song? I recognize that song from 1999. I used to dance to that song in clubs. Now, the thing is, this Motown 1950s choir edition is actually AI. And we've had two key songs that have come through in the zeitgeist in the last few weeks. Actually, another song by a band called Haven. These songs are AI. These songs are taking elements from the real world. This Cisco song, the Thong Song, is a famous song from 1999 that was incredible, but it wasn't Motown and it wasn't a choir and it didn't have orchestral music that went with it. And also the Haven AI song that's also penetrated the zeitgeist is all over TikTok. People are doing dances to these songs, yet they're AI. And that particular song, the Haven song called I Run, sounds like Georgia Smith lyrics. Now, we can have a conversation about the problematic nature of artificial intelligence interacting with creativity. But my take is, it's already here. It was always coming. Artificial intelligence, the hybridization of creativity and intelligence was always happening. And now it's pushed through into the consumer market, and now we have a true hybridization occurring. And it's interesting. It's not about whether it's good or bad only, sure, but let's also unpack some of the nuance here. That we have a song that was made by a human being, good old Cisco, the Thong Song, 1999, very much, the sound of the time. Just like 50 Cent's Drop It Like It's Hot. It was like part of the same sort of zeitgeist era. We've got that song that now AI has come along, or people using AI have remixed it, and it's good creativity. Sorry, but it is. It's going viral because it's like a really interesting, exciting rendition of the music. Now, we're going to see an increase in hybridized creativity of human and machine interacting, and if done right, they will iterate together to be able to reach the next level of creative excellence. It's problematic, it's uncomfortable. What do we think about the machine interacting with human creativity? Well, I mean, we think things about it, but I don't think we can just be fully against it because it's already occurring. You can't fight the zeitgeist. The zeitgeist is the spirit of the time and it's always moving forward. It's always leading us forward. We are contributing to it and we are learning from it in real time, but we cannot stop it. These are part of the mysteries of the movements of society and the evolution, our anthropology, the evolution of our consciousness and our creativity. So I thought this song was really interesting because if this song sounded bad and no one was creating dance TikToks to it, then that would be a different conversation. But people like it. People are enjoying this creativity. It's a good piece of creativity and it was made by AI. Interesting. So let's keep watching that pulse, let's keep seeing how it evolves. And if we're going to interact with AI, let's do it really well. Let's do it with originality. Let's do it with richness. Let's do it with excellence. I just wouldn't be fully anti-AI. If I were you as a practitioner in the space, unpack it, understand it. How can it serve your ideas? How can it scale your ideas? How can it iterate your own human creativity to get you to the next level of excellence? Okay, let's keep moving. Now, and I'm just going to apologize. I can't do anything about that camera. I'm hoping that the actual nature of the content that I'm delivering tonight will hold your attention over the blurring of the camera. I am so sorry. I can't fix it in this moment. Now, who knows about Polymarket? Polymarket is an online platform that is it's a betting platform, but it's more interesting than that. It is a way of betting on the outcome that you predict in any sort of situation. It could be cultural, it could be gaming, it could be politics. Polymarket became quite well known during the US election last year in terms of the results, and it was quite accurate in terms of who ended up winning. And as we can see, that quick grab there, it was a really close movement in the market. The reason I'm pulling this forward for us is because it is Coolnomics. It is money, a monetary representation of the zeitgeist. Now, not every single person is placing a bet on what they think the outcome will be of an election or any sort of cultural moment. So, of course, it's not a complete cross-section of society and the true sentiment. Unless you captured all of the data of all of humanity at any point in time, you're not going to have the entire sentiment. You're going to have what is the strongest sentiment, what is the strongest percentage predicted to win based upon people's actual money, skin on the game, because they're betting on the outcome. It's not a poll. It's not who they think should win. It's not an ethical basis. It's people literally saying, I believe that this person has a 70% chance of winning, or 65%, whatever the percentage might be. So I think it becomes very interesting. Polymarket is a really interesting example of Coolnomics in real time. And I also want to call out that so little of our world exists without money now. If we were doing Coolnomics back in the 80s, it would be a completely different conversation. There was a lot more time and space for art and cool things that didn't have to convert into money. It was a richer, more raw time. But as we know, as we progress through the maturation of capitalism as a model, we're now moving into late stage capitalism, where money is an even more dominant element in what is mattering to society and what has value. I'm not saying that's correct. Value is a flexible, obtuse concept based upon the context within which you're operating. And I think we can all agree that money, more than ever, is now determining what has value, what has attention, what we're interested in, and what we're going to back. I think that's a problem. But we can't just easily stop that because the world is evolving. And so that's why Coolnomics is putting us in a position to actively, intelligently engage with the way the world is changing so we can be part of that cutting edge and know how to run our businesses and write our policies and lead our teams in a way that is fully aware and open to what is happening with the zeitgeist and what is happening with the economy at any point in time. So Polymarket was really interesting to me because it's literally a zeitgeist predictor shown in money, just like a stock market in another kind of way, betting on an outcome. We're running a long play or we're shorting a market, but in those cases, you're making a prediction of a market. This is bringing it even more so into the consumer space of people being able to use their money to show what they think will happen with society. So, let's see what happens with Polymarket. It's an interesting business, I think. Okay, the live zeitgeist, our human audience zeitgeist. As we know, each week we ask the question, what is the spirit of this time that we're in? The word zeitgeist is a German word that literally translates to the meaning time spirit, the spirit of the time. Now, I know it might be a little bit hard to focus with my cameras focusing in and out. If I could fix it, I would absolutely fix it, but I can't see what sort of I don't think it's a setting because I haven't changed my settings. It's a technical glitch. Okay, let's not be distracted. Let's settle in. We're training our intuition. We're training our instinct to get a feel for what is the spirit of the time. Because if we know what the spirit of the time is, which is often made up of multiple threads, multiple feelings. Teddy says cozy. Cool, the spirit of the time is cozy. I love that. That's a beautiful spirit of the time. We're in December of 2025. This is where we enter in, we add if we feel that we are ready to articulate, we can add it into the chat of what we feel is the spirit of the time now. There's no wrong answer. We're training your skill in being able to identify and feel into and articulate and then be able to act upon what we feel is the spirit of the time. In my role as a business strategist, I need to be able to speak to and understand and articulate and act upon the spirit of the time in relation to any business that I might be writing a strategy for. So I wonder, Fiona says tired. Yeah, fair enough. I would imagine there'd be a few people on the chat tonight who might say that the spirit of the time is tired. It is the end of the year after a very big year, the year of the snake, the year of the shedding, the year of the transformation. Okay, the spirit of the time. The next question that we always ask is, How does your spirit feel at this time in history? What threads make up your personal zeitgeist? Because you can have a broad zeitgeist of the entire world at any point in time, the mood, the median point of the mood, and then you can have the zeitgeist of a particular group of people or a particular continent or a particular niche or subculture. But you can also have a personal zeitgeist. What are the themes and elements and threads that are making up your zeitgeist this week or tonight? My personal zeitgeist is feeling very much this week of pushing up to the next level now, the next level of resilience, the next level of leadership. Running this live stream has been a real leap forward. Fiona and I have been working on it as a team. It's a challenge to put yourself out there, to take your ideas from the ether, all the writing I've been doing over all of these years of building this body of work. It's another shift forward to turn it into understandable, bite-sized, consumable pieces of education to teach people about ideas around the zeitgeist and the economy and business and strategy that works for where the world is at. So mine would be about reaching, striving, leaping to the next place. I wonder what your personal zeitgeist feels like tonight. Okay, let's keep moving. Now, as always, we finish with our North Star. How would you like the spirit of the next era to feel? How would you like it to feel? Where are we heading towards? We cannot control the entire zeitgeist, but we can focus on the contribution we want to make to the broad zeitgeist of our world through the policies that we write, through the leadership that we exhibit, and through the business strategies and products and ideas that we champion and fight for and monetize to turn them into something valuable for the world. Oh, that's beautiful, Fiona. Great. Questioning your past and present intent simultaneously. I love that. My North Star, it keeps on, see, I find it interesting if you're finding that the same answer comes through for you each week, or if a new one comes through. And for me, it's actually the same one each week, which says to me that I'm on some sort of destiny or we're heading somewhere that is consistent. I wonder if I could change my camera over to be my I'm just going to try something, my friends, before we enter the lecture. Maybe I try bringing in my MacBook camera. I wonder if that will do anything for us. Bear with me. You can probably see live on screen that I'm in my broadcast software trying to solve this. This is business, baby. We try to fix it in real time. It's not going to be as pretty. The lighting probably won't be as pretty as the iPhone camera because they're different kinds of cameras. But at least it might not be distracting. Let me get rid of that. Okay, let me sort out my angle. Okay, hopefully this will solve that problem. I'm so sorry. I know it was very distracting having that happening with my camera. This is lower quality, but at least we won't have it in the recording and I won't be distracting you with my camera. Teddy says peaceful. Love that, Teddy. So good. And also love having different generations on the chat. We've had people of all eras from boomer to millennials, Gen Zs, and even our alphas are in the room on this live stream, which is, oh, good angle. Thanks, Teddy. Thanks, team. Really couldn't do it without you. And that is also the intention of Coolnomics, to bring together thinking and understanding of how zeitgeists work and how economies change and what does the world want at this point in time and what are we heading towards. So my return point always for our North Star that I would like us to see is to be in late stage capitalism, the tendency is to crush and flatten culture, and I want people to feel alive and active and nourished and enriched being a part of the world. That is part of my intention with Coolnomics, to help us run better businesses whilst also asking philosophical questions about the nature of the economy. The economy should serve society, not crush it. Okay. For those of you who join us each week, you already know the principles. Come on, there's 5 principles to Coolnomics. For something to be Coolnomics and we can score it across a spectrum, it needs to be culturally relevant, emotionally intelligent, authentic and credible to its source, originality, excellence, something good that we are proud of, that has prestige. And then the nomics is running a business in a way that it has optimized a commercial Viability in its picture, which is our lecture this evening. And then finally, next week, the final episode of our pilot season will be about regenerative and sustainable human behaviors and sustainable economics, which, as I'm sure we can all agree, must be a focus. And I think we've done that in a way through a social impact lens. But if you don't have the cool, the sustainability, the regeneration intent will not happen. You won't get traction in the market. People are never just driven by doing the right thing, by altruism, by ethics. Survival, desire, belonging are always going to be stronger emotional and behavioral drivers than ethics. And so that's why regeneration and sustainability is part of the Coolnomics theory, because if we want to change the world, we have to make it cool. I think we could all agree. All right, let's get into our lecture, commercial viability. Resonance, you know that. Come on, we all know that. You're all experts on Coolnomics by now, those of you who've been following. Okay, commercial viability. I'm so glad I fixed the camera. I'm sorry that it's a bit ugly. Maybe I'll get rid of that line above. Okay. Commercial viability. It's the money part. It's the nomics. This is the MBA part. This is the profit and loss, the hard numbers. It's profitability. In order for something to be commercially viable, it needs to resonate with the market, first of all. If you've got no resonance with your market, you're not going to make any money at all. But once you've got your resonance, you want to make sure that the way that you're running your commercials, your actual practice or the discipline of your commercial approach is financially, operationally, and strategically sound or robust. That's what a super strategy, my day job, does. A 5-year strategy that is the smartest way of taking a cool, exciting, desirable, magnetic product into the market and running the most rigorous commercial approach that we can. Strategic, intelligent, operational. Okay, let's talk about some examples. So we want to be able to design products that people want. First of all, obviously, resonance. We want to be able to structure them in a way that they are scalable, they can get bigger, they can sustain over a period of time, and they naturally grow in line with the zeitgeist. We want the actual model of the business to be built for relevance. Marketing and social media cannot make a product relevant if it's not in its very nature relevant to the market. And marketing can't do much and product can't do much if the very model of the business itself hasn't been developed and designed in an intelligent way. And we want to make sure that also we are bringing ideas into the market that are fundable, that might attract investment, that are executable, that we're considering how we're going to take this product to market. What will it cost us? What is the best way to deliver this product and then to grow our product offering, to grow our market and to grow what we can do with each individual customer across a period of time. Okay, let's keep going through this as a principle. So there's 2 sides to running a successful business: emotional resonance, the cool, the attention, the love, the uptake, the traction, the adoption, the magnetism, and the way we price it, the way we deliver it to market, the way that we utilize the profit that we retain within the business to reinvest it to grow the business. That is a lot of people's sticking points. That is a lot of our clients at Super, or a lot of their challenge is they're profitable businesses, but they don't know where and how to reinvest that profit to open up their top line revenue. And then finally, the way you run your operations. What are your costs? And your expenses? What is the profit? Can we continue to optimize the actual model within which we are delivering our products so that we are increasing our profitability and decreasing our expenses? Basic business concepts. Now, some of the concepts tonight might be very obvious. If you're already running a business, if you're already a CEO, some of these will be very obvious and you already know them. But we want to take a moment today in the very first lecture of this particular principle to ground into our essentials. And I personally find it useful sometimes when someone really takes it back to basics, because that's where, the power is found. And to make it really clear, Coolnomics is built for the now. It needs to be both. When I did my MBA, we had one marketing module, but it was about avatars, it was about demographics, it was not about resonance, it was not about emotional intelligence, it wasn't about originality, excellence, creativity, cool things that the world wants and needs now. My MBA, I had already done a lot in terms of developing original things and taking them to market, but my MBA, thanks Fiona, the nail compliment, but my MBA rounded out the best practice of how to take a product to market financially and to grow revenue. Coolnomics does both. Okay, some of the tools, for example, would be that we want to run commercial models, literally big spreadsheets of cash flow projections and how much it might cost to take a product to market. And then you run different experiments through that commercial model of if we release this kind of product with this kind of profitability, what would it look like across a 5-year horizon? If we released XYZ products or LMNOP products, what kind of profitability would it be? And so you're always switching between what's a cool idea, what kind of money would that make? Okay, what's a cool idea, what kind of money would that make? They work in together. Money and art don't fight. Money and art work beautifully together when done with intentionality and consciousness and creativity. We don't have enough training in that space. That's the whole point of Coolnomics, is to bring those two things into the one picture and develop our intelligence on both sides. We want to think about the way that we price a product, which I'm going to unpack more. We want to consider the way that we bring a product suite into the market. Don't think of it as just one product. Think of your business with a set of products, with a set of customers, or one customer with a set of products. But I want you to think of it as an ecosystem. I'm going to tell you more in a moment. And then finally, we want to always have lean protocols. You literally need someone always looking at your bottom line. You need a CEO who's driving forward your top line revenue, and you need a CFO who is always being intelligent and clever, not limiting the growth of the business, but being quite disciplined in terms of how we're spending our money, how we're reinvesting our money, what our profit is looking like, and looking at optimizing that at every point in time and repeating it. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to talk to you about 3 of these things tonight: pricing, product offers, product suites, and profitability. These are big topics to cover, obviously, so I'm doing it as always in a Coolnomics way, on a principle level, reminding you of the principles, reminding us of, the most basic ideas, and then applying the Coolnomics thinking to it. So, setting your price. How do you set your price? Okay, as I'm sure many of you would know, setting a price is made up of, again, from both sides. It's made up of your COGS, your cost of goods sold. Literally, how much do you need to spend in order to send that product into the market? That is a hard cost, as we say here. It's a hard cost that is based upon actual outcomes. You can redesign your product and redesign your supply chain to minimize those costs, but it is a hard cost. You know that at this point in time, that's how much it's going to cost you to take your product to market. Then you've got your operating costs, your overhead costs, your electricity, your rent, your salaries, your insurances, your advertising. That's going to be another percentage that you add on. And then the final piece is flexible, the profit. We want to increase the amount of profit, but if that profit is going to be determined by a few things, and in the most simple way, it's what the market will bear. What does someone look at your thing and say, I would pay that much for it? And those two things work in together, and there's some flexibility, and the flexibility is based upon perception, utility, and resonance. I'm going to give you some examples. Let's look at a handbag. All right, we've got a handbag. These costs are really, abstract. They're just ideas in terms of what a set of figures might be. All right, we've got a product, we've got a handbag. It's going to cost us $220 to make that handbag in hard materials, hard labor to turn this into something someone can buy. Let's say we've got $40 on an individual product sale basis to keep the lights on of the business. And let's say that we think $620 is the maximum that the market will spend on this product with its particular perception, utility, and relevance or resonance, which means our profitability would be $350 in that setting. So that might depend on your market position, and that might be fine for that business because that business is about selling a lot of volume. So it's not about increasing the dollar value per product, it's about selling more of those products. And if it's a $620 handbag, you're sitting in the kind of, lower premium space. You're not luxury yet. Luxury handbags can be $50,000 at Hermes. You're sitting, but it's not it's not Strand bags. It's Aesque or a premium leather brand. But let's say we want to increase our profitability and shift our position or sit at a higher space in the market. If we can pull some levers that I'm talking about in a moment, if we can change these levers, which this is literally what I do with businesses, we could sell a product for this amount because I know we've got levers that we can pull. I know that the market will pay this amount. I know that we can take a product to market that's actually $1,450, giving us 1190 in terms of gross profit. Actually, that would be net profit if we're bringing in the ops costs. And Obviously, that's more desirable, right? Sell less, maybe you're selling less of them, but at a higher price point, putting you into a premium or a luxury kind of space. How would you do that? Well, it's perception. It's a few different levers. How scarce is the product? How original is the product that you're bringing into the market? The depth, the resonance, the richness. Can you only get this product from this particular brand at this point in time? I mean, if you make it limited edition, that might increase your potential value to market. This is all about perception and resonance. This is the heart of Coolnomics. What can we sell to the market at what price point based upon how those people feel about it and what utility it serves? So we've talked about resonance and also identity. This is why when you consider a sneaker drop or a Hermes handbag, you're paying $50,000 because of the resonance, how it makes you feel, the particular demographic that would signify you belong to, which is reinforcing identity. Identity is in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We feel safe when we feel like we belong. And as we increase our wealth, those demographics or those positions that we want to belong increase. The aspiration increases. Market moves in line with the demand. And then finally, in terms of levers, there's more than these, but a few for you tonight would be around the actual utility of that product and the justification process. I mean, this is when you think about, I'm being silly here, I'm not making fun of girl maths, I'm a girl, we love girl maths, but justification for, okay, well, if I buy this, when girls particularly talk about cost per wear, that, all right, I'm going to spend this amount of money on this particular handbag because I'll be able to use it for X number of years for this many usages, bringing down my cost per wear to a certain figure. People are always moving through particular justification processes to hand over their hard-earned cash. And it's a combination of both what utility does this thing serve for me, as well as resonance. It's not just one or the other. Depending on the product category, it's going to be more about resonance versus utility. But what I will say is that in the year of 2025 and moving into 2026, we've seen a shift. We've come out of the era of consumerism, of just spend your money at all costs, have a huge mortgage, have huge credit cards, and then eventually, crumble under the pressure of that monetary outcome. First of all, the market is more austere. There's less money less disposable income than there used to be for people to spend on things because they feel good. And also with the increase of supply into the market, consumers have more of a choice. And so consumers are now asking for both. I don't know if you've seen this, but I've certainly seen this in buying behavior, that people are now realizing, I want something hot that is also, that feels like a good deal. It feels like it's serving a utility, like the girl math, the idea of it's a beautiful handbag, but I also need to bring some rationale to the space that this thing feels like a good deal. That's why the art market is suffering. That's why the premium furniture or object space is suffering, because buying behavior has changed, the actual economy has changed. Therefore, things like the art market, which then affects the zeitgeist, what art is encouraged, changes. The economy is so interconnected with the zeitgeist. If we want more art in the world, we have to figure out the economic reason as to why art isn't being facilitated. We've got a huge transformation going on in front of us, and I really feel like we're not facing it directly, but it's happening. Okay, that is pricing. Now, I want you to think about your products in a suite. When we write a 5-year strategy, we will often start with one hero product, the current business, or if it's a already existing business, it might be, okay, we've got 3 tiers to our current product offering, or we've got this particular product for that market and it's serving us well, and we've got this particular product and we want to bring another product in. The point that I'm making here is that I want you to think of your products as a suite, as an ecosystem. What do you mean? Let's understand that more. Okay, so in year 1, for example, we might have one hero product and we're really going to own the market. We're going to go hard on that product. We're going to optimize the product in terms of its product market fit with that particular market and really go deep and create traction and create ongoing revenue so that we can then look at years 2 to 5 as to how we might scale. Now, in year 2, we might introduce another product. We want to keep that hero product going. That's our core. That's why people use terms like your core product range and then your complementary or supplementary product range. You're always going to have to keep retaining your core customer and your core product market fit. If you lose that, you lose the existence of the business. So you've got to keep that going. And then when you're in a good rhythm with your marketing, your customer, your feel for your customer, the feeling of the growth of that particular product and market, you might introduce a new product to market. And then so on, new products over the time. And those products will continue to serve the current customer, or you're going to enter into new markets with a new product that might serve those people, but still sitting within the same vision, the same set of values, the same sort of essential nature of what your product is, your business is doing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about vertical integration. You've probably heard that term. You probably already know what that means. But vertical integration, there's sort of a couple of things we want to slice and dice. You want to consider your customer lifetime value. How much can I sell to this person across their lifetime, to that one person across their lifetime? And you want to consider how many different products can I actually provide to the one person as well that are supplementary, complementary. So think of Qantas with airlines and then their lounges and then their loyalty program, etc., etc. So you think it's just an airline, but it's actually an entire ecosystem of products serving the one customer base, and in that case, it's a mass customer base with particular niches in it, and extracting, we shouldn't use that word, that's a heavy capitalist term, generating, cultivating the most revenue from that particular market. So Mr. Beast, right? Mr. Beast, huge, the biggest YouTuber in the world. He started with entertainment, build the audience, entertain that audience, get a real foothold in terms of the resonance with that market, what you represent, extreme, ridiculous entertainment. Mr. Beast, young people interested in it. Okay, we've got literally millions of people watching Mr. Beast YouTube shows, Mr. Beast games, etc. Well, I mean, it made total sense that Mr. Beast thought, oh, I could sell those same kids chocolate. I could sell those same kids Lunchables, snacks. I could teach them things. And so you've seen a vertical integration occur where he's entertaining this one person, right? John, or I don't know, what's like a Gen Alpha sort of name? Oh, what's like a modern name? Arnold. That is not modern at all. Teddy, what's like a name of a kid in your class that's like a Gen Alpha? Alistair, maybe. Old school names are back. Okay, so like Alistair is already watching Mr. Beast regularly. He's already in the marketing ecosystem. He's already got the resonance. I like Mr. Beast. I want to be Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast succeeds. Mr. Beast represents resilience and going hard and fulfilling your dreams. Okay, Rider. There you go, Rider. Gen A Alpha, Alpha Rider. Okay, Alpha's already in that ecosystem. He's already got the resonance with Mr. Beast. And then Ryder goes into Kmart or into Woolworths or whatever the distributor might be and sees Lunchables and says, Mum, I want that, or Mr. Beast chocolate. I want that product because I know what that product feels like, what it represents. It also has to be yummy. That's also the other side of it. It has to be a good quality product. And then, you know, if Mum says yes, we've now vertically integrated. We've provided another product to that same customer to extend the vertical of how we interact with that customer. And this can be grotesque. I shouldn't have to say that. This is a business show, but we need to be able to talk frankly about business in the same sentence as art, because I mean, that's the problem. We're breaking down the walls between those two worlds, and we want economics for good, business for good. This is a technical skill set. It's not bad to make money. It's how and where and why and when you make money that matters. Okay, that's the example of a Mr. Beast vertical integration, for example. Final set of practice, a lean P&L practice or protocol. There's 3 layers to it. We always want to be maximizing our top line revenue. So that can be increasing the market or entering new markets or generating a strong attraction with the market to increase the amount of money coming into the business at the very top line. We always want to be holding on to as much of that money or retaining it, not spending it. We want to use it for investment and growth, reinvesting in the business in particular ways, but we don't want to be wasting it on unnecessary expenses. So we always want to be minimizing. Again, I know this is obvious, but we need to be on our principle on the most essential level tonight. We want to be minimizing the amount of money going out of the business. And that might sound obvious, but as businesses grow, and if you don't have a really strong financial controller or accountant, someone with really clear, clean, lean principles, specifically lean is a very particular way of running a business, then you can easily lose the discipline and you can end up with a bottom line that is messy and wasteful. Because also The way that you minimize your expenses or losses is also considering the supply chain, considering the entire way the product is designed and delivered to the market. As you reach the next level of volume, you might have stronger buying power. I think I've got that next. Yes, you might have stronger buying power to have economies of scale and to reduce the amount that you're spending on your hard materials, for example. The point that I'm making here is that it's an ongoing practice. It won't happen unless you bring that in very intentionally into your space of how do we grow this business in the very best way that increases our top line revenue, so the amount of money coming into the business to be able to work with in the first place. How do we make sure that we're always looking for ways to increase the resonance with the market, so we can always be selling our product at the highest possible dollar figure to what the market will bear? That's what's going to give you the highest level of revenue, whilst also considering, is the way we run the business the cheapest way to do it, the leanest way, the smartest way? And yes, there's always tension there. And that's why it's healthy to have tension within your C-suite, tension professionally in terms of practice tension, not personal tension, but tension between the practice of the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, the Chief Operating Officer, and the Chief Executive Officer. The CEO is leading the vision, the ideas, the excellence, the originality, the richness. The COO is making sure that that business operates in the very best way possible. The supply chain, the systems, the staffing, the resourcing. And then your CFO is always looking on a numbers level. And so you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have tension. That's normal. And that's why I want to bring some more learning in here in terms of how we hold tension within teams, how we actually achieve and optimize excellence. It's not always pretty and comfortable. Yeah, you want to step right into that and understand how to work with discomfort as an ongoing practice. It's normal, it's part of life, and our resilience defines the impact of it. I've got some more notes for you here. So some examples of, I want to give you some examples of how you can increase your profitability. So you can sell more to your current customer base, you can increase the basket spend, you can have, recommended add-ons at checkout, you can you can understand your customer more deeply and understand what you could bring to the market that would help serve them, which is a lower acquisition cost. It's always much cheaper to sell things to people that you already have within your ecosystem, but sometimes you'll hit a ceiling in terms of how much you can sell to people at what frequency. So then you might look at things like entering a new market, going overseas, a new geographical market or a new niche, which is going to be a higher acquisition cost. It's going to cost you more to get those new customers, but it's going to open up longer term top line revenue and growth footprint in terms of that business. And then also, finally, our very favorite is recurring revenue. Can you consider your business model, if you're running a business right now or you're considering and bringing a new product to market, is there any way you can make that a recurring product item, which means we might be able to predict our income, predict our cash flow, and reduce the acquisition cost as well, because you're signing someone on once for a longer term, which means you have to retain them. That's where you need to start focusing. Recurring, that's why, any big tech company wants to be on a recurring membership subscription-based model, because of all the, the good things about it, that you can predict the income, and then it's about retaining and taking care of that pre-existing pipeline. But that depends on the actual product that you're looking at. I really want to bring some more examples in. I think the next iteration of the live stream would be live examples that you bring to me, and I give you examples of how you could slice and dice it, how you could make it more resonant, more authentic, make more money. That would be the next level I would love to be able to do with you, to show you all the different ways if I was running the strategy of what I would do to increase the Coolnomics of the situation. Okay, an example, good old Kmart. Now, we've all been around. We all know when Kmart wasn't very cool, wasn't very relevant. It was discounting. It was kind of cheap. It was dorky. Wasn't cool, wasn't resonant. And then they had the bright idea of a cultural repositioning. And their CEO at the time said, let's get rid of any products and categories that actually aren't serving our actual vision and aren't excellent, aren't things that people truly want. They started getting rid of their sales discounting, and they created everyday low prices as, an actual tagline, but also this is the cost. So it wasn't about a cadence of sales. It was, which can be up and down and seasonal. It was about, how do we get people coming in more regularly? How does Kmart become part of someone's everyday life? And they did it. That's why, as again, we see that business is not just technical, clinical money. It's also the culture. It's the way it fits into someone's life. It's the emotion of it. It's how someone feels. Going to Kmart, going to Target have become cultural status symbols of self-care and taking care of yourself in ways that aren't high cost. They started to design products that people wanted. Like, crazy idea, but why don't we the mugs that we sell, the saucepans that we sell, the sheet sets that we sell, the fashion that we sell. Why don't you make it cool? Why don't you make them colors that are relevant and exciting and desirable and would fit in with the rest of the design ecosystem of someone's current home in an interiors setting? I mean, obviously, feels obvious now, but I think that was an example of, don't worry, we're going to finish on time tonight. This is my final piece. That was an example of saying people are already going to spend money. People need utilitarian things for their homes. Why don't you make them cool? You'll sell more. People will be proud to be a part of it. It will create a magnetism and you know how I was teaching about the cultural flywheel of once you can latch on to a movement of people getting accessible, affordable, cheap, cool way of feeling good about themselves and also accessorizing their lives. This also happened in line. The early 2000s was also when we saw the democratization of creativity, where we saw the artisan come through. That's where we had hipster culture and everyone became a creative then. That was absolutely in line with the shift in the zeitgeist that Kmart was leveraging as well, that people were like, I'm going to design my home. Oh, I want to do it for less. I'm not an extremely wealthy person, but I still have aesthetics. I still have taste. I still have creativity. They leveraged that zeitgeist move. And then also finally, very clearly on the commercial viability front, they looked at their supply chain and they looked at how can we own as many parts of that supply chain ourselves so we can optimize the actual cost to ourselves and also be able to leverage volume within our own ecosystem, sell to ourselves to leverage economies of scale. So that was also very intelligent. And also they have a very strong financial control team that are always looking at the bottom line through a very lean, very disciplined lens in order to retain profitability, because without profitability, you can't grow, you become limited, and the very existence of your business is at stake. And so Kmart became a household name. It became cool. It became resonant, which means that their margins improved because also they could actually raise their prices somewhat. It's still sitting within the affordable kind of price bracket, but it's also an example of vertical integration. You make it desirable and beautiful, aesthetically cool. You can't deny that. Things that look pretty, people will want. And then people are starting to increase their basket size because I'm just going to pick up that little pillow. Actually, I need a sheet set too. Actually, I'm going to get some candles. Maybe I'll get a packet of undies. Oh, okay, maybe I'm also going to get a sporting kit for my son. I'm going to buy some books too. And so then the actual trolley value might become $200 to $500 rather than $100, because why would you buy anything more if it wasn't particularly desirable? Honestly, Kmart, Coolnomics. Of course, we can talk about sustainability and overconsumption and people buying things that don't last very long. Yes, that's another part of the conversation. But if we get too puritanical, we can't do anything in business. And next week, we're going to talk about how to do things that are also regenerative. Okay. So to finish it, Kmart was able to resonate better, shift their identity, bring a product suite into the market, not one product, but an ecosystem of products that work with the ecosystem of someone's lifestyle and interests and desires, keeping their pricing consistent and considering that maybe we're going to keep the actual unit cost of something at a particular price point, but we're going to sell 3 of them to that person. We're going to sell one of those, one of those, one of those, one of those. So we're looking at basket size, not just individual spend. And then also the continuous rigor of a lean P&L, reducing our expenses, maximizing our profit, considering how we can increase the top line revenue is how you run a commercially viable business. Okay, we did it. Well done. Okay, 7:57, I've just made it in time. Thank you so much for joining me again. That is commercial viability. I mean, it's an MBA in a nutshell. Obviously, it's not. There's a lot more to an MBA, but in terms of some of the key principles of revenue, profit, expenses, cash flow are always going to be the basic principles of any sort of commercially viable business. But as we know, commercial viability isn't just about the balance sheet, isn't just about the P&L. It's not just numbers. It's also heart and soul. It's how people feel in the market and how you feel, how they feel, and the zeitgeist around your business, the zeitgeist that you represent within a person is going to impact the price that you're going to sell the thing to the people for. Coupling that with good technical commercial practices means that you will have a commercially viable business. Your business is a story. It's a calculator and a story. It's both. I think that's my biggest seed to impart with you, that it's both. It's not one or the other. I really want to start fielding more questions from you. I want to hear more specific questions of what you're working on, what's happening with your business, what's getting in the way. I mean, I would imagine that the way that a lot of people are feeling at the end of such a big political, economic, and social year is everyone's feeling tired. Maybe people feel a bit disenfranchised and overwhelmed by the changes in the world. The world is changing rapidly, yes, and humans adapt. Our brains, yes, the world is complex, but our brains are also adapting and expanding in relation to the complexity of the world. And I think we don't have enough training in the normalization of holding simultaneous truths. Because I used to think, okay, I need to make it more creative. Okay, I need to make it more business. And now I realize it's both. And it's the practice of training our brains to be able to think about two things simultaneously. How do I make something cool? How do I make it profitable? How do I make something cool? How do I make it profitable? I want to normalize that for you, that it's complicated to hold a multidisciplinary view and simultaneous truths. But this is what it is to be a modern business practitioner, to be a Coolnomics pro. We can do both. And the best businesses in the world, Netflix, Lego, Sesame Street, Apple, big businesses right through to small businesses, Meadow Lane in New York City, a small food providor that's very viral and desirable to the market right now. Coolnomics is relevant, big business, small business. I look forward to continuing these conversations. We've got a lot to learn. Next year, we're going to bring our real learning where you'll be able to, engage in education to learn how to do these things in relation to your actual business. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. Thank you to our loyal followers. I really appreciate you, Fiona, and I really appreciate you joining us. This has been the pilot season of a brand new idea in the world. We've worked in a broadcast setting for the very first time, and next week will be our last week for our pilot season for 2025. And we'll be talking about the future of regenerative economics, regenerative human behaviors. Where to next for the zeitgeist? Where to next for capitalism? Next week, bring a beer. We're going to relax. We're going to talk on a more philosophical level. And I'm really proud of you for coming on this journey with us and learning some new things and also contributing through your chats. Thank you so much. Take care. And I will catch you next week. All right, team. See you then.